Hey, it's me again. You know me. You always love to see me. I'm back here again with another talk, another one of these short, unscripted talks. I mean, I am working on kind of a plan or a schedule. I'm gonna do these talks, and I'm gonna try and see how funny I am. Spoiler: I'm not really, and do some like scripted videos. I'm doing one on a song. It should come out pretty soon. But today I want to talk about Lord of the Flies. This book. I just read it for school. I finished it about like a week ago. Yeah. So I just want to talk about it. It's a pretty good book. It's actually really surprising because a lot of times the books you have to read for school are really bad. Like for school, I had to read Ethan Frome, which is a book from like the 1920s, one of the worst books I've ever read. I feel like the only two good books that I had to read were Romeo and Juliet was pretty okay. I mean, it's Romeo and Juliet though. Like you can get, it's like a classic for a reason. Stardust. I don't know if anyone read that book. Book Thief was the only like summer reading book. Well, it was an optional summer reading book too. It wasn't like one of the mandatory ones. That's like one of my favorite books of all time. But anyway, Lord of the Flies. It's a pretty good book. It's about these kids who get stranded on an island. And it's only kids, and they're like not that old. I think the oldest is like 15, 16 or something like that. And they're British. And you could tell by the words they use. And then they have to kind of survive until they get rescued. And it's very interesting and is very good until looking into the psyche, because they're very real characters. I feel like with lack of society and lack of maturity, how those kids do, how 13-year-olds act in the absence of people, that's very real. I mean, maybe not now, but when this book was written, probably in like 19-somethings, 1950s, where they don't have this much technology, where they're more ruthless and more like, attacking, more like hunters and stuff like that. This is completely like you can see them acting like this because they're near the end of the book. They're absolutely ruthless. I'm getting into some spoilers, and I highly recommend you go into this book completely blind and read it. And if you have to read this for a project or like for school or whatever, please pace yourself. Because I like to listen to audiobooks while I read the physical book because sometimes my brain can't pay attention. But some of the chapters are 40 minutes long, 30 minutes long, and so please, don't save it all for like 1 week like I did, because you'll be miserable. But near the end of the book, so spoilers from here on out, like 2 people die in brutal ways, and Golding has a wonderful way of describing it. Like with Piggy Simon's death, I think, like how he described him drifting off to the ocean motionless, and oh my god, Golding has just such a way with words. It's fantastically written. I will say that the first half is slow compared to the back half. The back half, like once Jack and Ralph climb the mountain, and I think it was Robert there too, climb the mountain, see the beast, then Jack leaves and forms his own group. That is when the book really shines. Near the end, when they burn the whole forest down to just try and find Ralph, they're just complete savages at this point. That is just peak. It's genuinely like a good book, and it will keep you enthralled if if you're in for a good book. And then the ending, for a lot of people really don't like the ending, and I definitely see why. Just Deus Ex Machina. It's just, suddenly it's all better. That's not really how you write a story. Like, you need to have consequence, but I don't know, for some reason it I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. I definitely don't hate it, but I couldn't really see it ending any other way. Like with Ralph dead, I don't know. I honestly don't know, but like when he just he's running to the beach, and then the naval officer is just standing there, and then everyone just stops. It's like at the hint of society, they all remember who they were and what they're supposed to do and how they were, being savages, and then they all become normal boys again. I don't know. When I finish reading this, my mom was like, yeah, it's a really good book, and it's like if you need to write an essay on anything, you can tie Lord of the Flies to it, and I could definitely see that. I had to write an essay about if humans naturally divide each other, and I was able to use this book. Someone else was doing like, are humans naturally evil, or like, any single topic. But it's also just a really good book. Let's see how many pages it is. 255 pages, so not like the longest in the world, but definitely not the shortest. But definitely a good book. I heard people. I'm in like 11th grade. I heard people read this in like 8th, 7th grade. I feel like the prime time is like 10th, 11th grade or 12th grade. Like high school, when you can get the most out of it and you can kind of understand more of the themes and more of the wordplay and feel more of the description. You also, to get the max out of it, you also kind of need to be like a book nerd, But nonetheless, it's a really splendid book. I wouldn't recommend it probably reading it just in your free time. I mean, it's not one of those like great action books. I mean, unless you're just an absolute nerd. No offense to absolute nerds, I'm an absolute nerd. But if you're like me, or like if you're usually an anime fan, like a shonen fan, like, this isn't the best book, but it's an adequate book for like, you have to read for school, because a lot of times they're just like, I really do not want to read this book, like The Pearl's super boring. What? My brain kept just like not paying attention to the page. I couldn't really like figure out like how to like write nuance about it, but maybe you're better off reading other books like Scythe. That's a really good book, actually, and it's really enthralling for people who like action. This is just like people people whose favorite class is English class. That's who Lord of the Flies is for. People's favorite class is like science, who are more into more fun and action type things, or people who just don't like school in general, like don't like any, whose favorite class is gym. This is not the book for you. But anyway, nonetheless, if you haven't read it yet for school, you are probably going to, and if you already read it in school, you probably still think about some of the things. Maybe you don't. I don't know. I mean, I just finished it a week ago, and I had to write an essay about it, so I've kind of like been like rereading certain parts of it and stuff. But yeah, I just feel like it's a good book, and kind of scary sometimes. Kind of makes you think about like society. We live in a society. I don't know about it's just a good book, and very descriptive, very well written, and there's a reason why we're still learning it. Unlike Ethan Frome, for example, written in the 1920s. What's the my English teacher said out loud to us, like, I don't really know why we read this book anymore, why it's mandatory. Like, if an English teacher is saying that, who's paid to work for the school system, and I mean, I know English teachers could have their own opinion and like be against the school system, but I mean, like, if you know that they're they're against it, I don't know. But anyway, I rate this book like 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. I mean, like, it's truly a classic. People who like books will love this book, but I can see how some people won't like the ending, certain parts of it, and it's kind of, has some like English words in like Old English, so it's like knackers, hanger. I don't know. It has some words, so it could be difficult to read, but definitely recommend it. So like a 7.5 out of 10.